Okay, guys, I'm gonna be all over the place right now. I'm actually recording this. It's not meant to be my upload. I don't think it's gonna end up on, um, I don't think it's gonna end up on YouTube, but it would take me a lot of work to redo this video. So I'm gonna just say for now that it's a note to self. It's recording it because I'm getting so many downloads right now. That I tried to write them, and the writing is going to be a part of what I'm about to tell you. So I'm actually reading the mess. And when I say mess, I mean a good mess. This is a package. I have to unpack this. This just got off. This is still on the truck. Some of it not even coming off the pallet yet. So, oh my God, I'm using analogies. So I'm going to have to redo this video after I manage to organize it. The problem is I have two. Yeah, it's my Minecraft up here. I'm working on my fortress here, and this is the massive cave I dug out. By the way, this was part of why I started getting the downloads and why I realized that I have been doing. This is my only video game on my spare time, so you can't see it all. I'm gonna pan back and forth. I carved the mountain out, flattened the walls, covered the walls, and smoothed the floor out. And I'm going to do a separate video on that. But while I was doing this, I was very relaxed. I'm also very tired, by the way. So another reason I'm going to be all over the place is not because of this download I'm about to get into. It's about... Don't worry, I'm going to show you something with the phone eventually that I wrote because I'm going to have to read it from there anyway. My sleep, I'm working two jobs and I'm working two jobs and I'm packing to move. On kind of short notice, it was 6 weeks. It's been about 3 weeks, so I did a lot of major stuff, but it's all the little drawn out, tedious stuff that I have to do as part of getting into the little stuff and what to get rid of. So I'm kind of stuck on that. So I'm going to sound all over the place because I'm getting 11 hours of sleep like once a week or something, and then the other nights are 3 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. I'm trying to have a sleep pattern, but it's just very difficult. So that might also, in a good note, have calmed me down enough, put me in kind of a zombie enough state. Not saying it in a bad way, but just putting me in a state that I'm, you know, more receptive, I guess. So I think, long story short, while that might have helped me get to this point of being in that state while playing this game, I'm just laying down blocks. I'm literally doing like construction work on the video game. It's very monotonous, and those things have come together. The tiredness, the insight, and a couple of other things that I'll get around to mentioning shortly all came together for me now. Okay, so it's in regards to the tree of life. I didn't even finish writing what... don't worry if you can't see all this, because this is just the I just received this in the mail, so to speak. It's not... I didn't even open the letter and go through all the pages yet. Okay, so I have to turn this into a more presentable form. I just have to get it down, and that leads me to one of the many insights that I was getting. I'm not saying any of them are more or less important than the others, so this is going to be in a random order. Okay, so the beginning of the year, I tried to do my yearly meditation cycle. This is like going through all your aspects one at a time related to the tree of life and going into meditation. You know, when you do stuff for 20, 30 days, you get you establish a habit. So I can't get into it now, but because of my past, it took me a long time to get where I'm at. I'll be 52 soon, God willing. So Um, you go through the year, you start in February, so you're in the most receptive state then. So I made another attempt. This is probably my third or fourth attempt, probably over 8 years. So it's very slow and frustrating for me, but it's okay. I understand how that shapes even better. That's a third sphere thing. I'm starting to appreciate it, even though I don't like what it feels like in the flesh. I really don't. So I wouldn't ask for these lessons, but life gives you things to learn, and you're gonna learn them, or you're gonna fail class. All right. So starting in February, this is actually here. I'm pointing to the wrong sphere. This is 0. Okay. And there's the center of the tree here. So the first download that I got was, oh, to finish that point, it's starting to manifest now. It's very subtly. It's what brought me to this whole thing I tried to write down. If you're confused as hell, you should be right now, because I have to gradually start making sense here. I'm taking a lot of elements. I'm basically putting a puzzle together out of the box in front of you. So I can't really do but so much with that. So I'll refine it later and try to do a very presentable video. It's going to take me a little while because I'm so tired. So peace here is where the fruit first started. That's one of the things I first realized. Then, doing the blocks that I'm doing in this game somehow brought me to proper logical thinking. So it's really the ability to see. This is this sphere here, 8. This is the ability to understand things intellectually, like in a form that can be spoken or written down. Okay? I'm trying to stay on this one now because this I'm about to get to anyway. So during this time, what I was also, I kept getting these very strong urges, okay? Pleasant, like inspiration, okay? And seeing beautiful, hearing music in my head, hearing, wanting to write the experience and all of these intuitions into a song that everybody can understand, right? Because they use music to program us negatively. So I've been getting these urges on and off to try and learn how to write lyrics. I don't know if there'll be music. I keep getting music with it. I keep being in that music vibe, or maybe poem or a book. I don't know. So I'm not going to go with anything in particular now. But the music and the way to carry a message that helps heal somebody from the center of their soul. This is something I don't know. If life wants me to do this, I need a lot of help, because I don't know. This is going to take a while. So, I ask for divine protection while I'm in this womb. And I say that as part of this record. So I mentioned intellect, and now, so this is kind of verbal thought. This is visual thought in a externally artful way, which is again what I'm doing in this game. It's doing this without even realizing it. I'm building a sound structure and framework with a lot of work, and then starting to add things to make it beautiful. So I didn't even realize that I was manifesting these. And then I started thinking about how to bring all this into a entertaining form to kind of counter that negative programming that they put. Because this is how the mind works anyway. Anybody who's watching me explain all of this, this isn't magic or witchcraft or anything. This is a map of reality and our functioning mental parts. This is the physical world. This is what we think. We think the only thing that exists is here. It all is on purpose. It's just hard to see it when we're going through things, okay? So the object is to awaken all of these faculties, but in servitude to who everybody would call God or your highest self. Whatever label, I'm going to respect your label. But you have to be at peace. You have to be rooted in your origin, in your actual nature. So what does that have to do with the 6th, 9th, and 10th spheres? Because you can't fully develop all of these pillar of mercy and pillar of severity spheres unless you have cultivated with your sixth sphere, your will, your purpose of your will is to choose to unite yourself with the Most High, with the original intelligence. Again, whatever you want to call it. This is devotion to God, let's say. So you bring this into manifestation by getting yourself into peace and balance so that you can connect your inner intuition in a proper way and channel it all down so that you can put it into words and express it artfully. Once that is done, that's why everything has to come from your heart and not doing what something out here is trying to get you to do. You give birth to a birthing process, and then when you act on it, okay, when you impress it into your emotional desires, when you feel such a strong desire because of everything that you did here to bring this into earth, the things in the world don't matter to you anymore. So this is the pillar of balance, is what it's called in Kabbalah. I call it peace on earth. This is the process of going from fully connected to God to getting separated by God, being born here, and then sorting through all the chaos, which is really you trying to get all of your spheres worked out, to get your intellect working right, to see yourself succeeding, stop seeing yourself failing and all the bad stuff out here, right? So that was the main download I got. I can keep going and going and going and going, but once you're here, that's why it's in the center, because once you establish this is what unlocks these. That looks kind of like a DNA spiral unlocking. It's like a, I would assume it's part of the Kundalini yoga process. We think of it as starting here and going up, but we have to reach in. The first step is to reach in and identify with all this high source stuff, which is what the purpose of religion is. It's like throwing a chain with a hook up, and then it gets here so that you can start climbing up the wall. That's your Kundalini yoga. But you can't just start climbing up the wall. You have to get your grappling hook up here first. That's why this is the most important step in developing your spirituality, is the skill of meditation for a divine reason, not meditating on doing just earthly stuff or how to covet somebody else's stuff and practice all this dark, criminal activity or dark magic or lying in the media, all of that stuff, right? So again, remember, I'm blabbing back and forth. I hope pieces of it are making sense. I'll make this coherent eventually. So that was the first download, is establishing inner peace by identifying with the deepest part of you where you connect to source. And that gets your attention off of here as part of that process. As you go through the months and years of getting better with that, the discipline that it requires starts qualifying you for spiritual power, because now when you receive energy, you don't run around the world doing all kind of selfish, evil things with that energy. You're not squandering your money, so to speak, and your resources, but you connected yourself in a proper way based on the understanding of what your parts are and how they are supposed to work together as a unit for a unified cause. The central cause is the basis for all these other spheres. If the devotion is to the reconnecting or resolving sin, or resolving the issue of unit separation from God, you're going to have to go inward. It's not out there in church. We're supposed to help each other do that. That's what a community is. We need that support. But each person, we have to encourage each person to connect in. It's almost like lowering somebody over a wall. Another analogy is we're trusting each other to nurture ourselves as we go inward and heal by connecting all of these things. Remember about healing the eye, Heru's eye? got gouged out in battle. Once he sees how all the parts connect, once you have enough practice and skill in meditation and practicing to the best of your ability in your thinking to get this model, to get this working model into your eighth sphere, your intellect, your technology sphere. Once you get this in there, you can start operating a little better here. But again, you have to be connected here first. Otherwise, you'll be on one side of the scale, and whatever you indulge in ends up bringing you down to the negative consequences of being on one side too much. You have to be here first, okay? So that again came because the beginning of the year I had started with the sphere 0, okay? And then I was wanting to get those words out and those musical feelings. So this here that I'm doing now is actually a manifestation of that. I wrote here, I've been knowing that eventually my words would show up. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the 8 spheres. So let me read these things on the bottom. You won't be able to see them all because I'd have to keep moving the camera while I'm trying to read. So peaceful mindset is the ideal situation because the calm, that talking about that central pillar, makes one a fair and precise judge and a calm performer in life through meditative practice, maybe martial arts, can see clearer in not just any situation, but see a situation in context to the rest of it. So you're not just able to bring your wisdom to a situation, but you can bring it to, you can not get completely lost in that situation or on that particular path and then find yourself getting lost because you're connected in the center, the central, all of this success depends on your central pathway, not to either side of it. Those things will add themselves to you and incorporate themselves into that unity as you go through the center. So when we practice this, which is the 6th sphere, the function of the will, it's not whether you should go to work or go to a barbecue or what color you should wear, not those kinds of decisions, life decisions. And not just your life, but in relation to the society that you have to share your acting field with as you carry out your destiny. Okay, so the more we practice staying and getting closer and closer up that wall until we finally are here all the time in spirit, we're centered, it'll have other benefits, okay, like making you a better judge at things by calmly just looking at everything. And you'll be more calmer because you're practicing to be in life. It's like anything else. It might even seem impossible for us. You got to practice. You got to meditate on the idea of it, of bringing yourself closer to here. And then as you go through life, you have to practice doing that. Practice being calm until even the ones that seem impossible to face, you get to resolve it in that healing process. And it'll get you closer up that wall because you won't be able to be pulled off of this central goal of reconnecting to your inner self where you're still one with God. Okay? So the 8th sphere has its logical root in the 4th sphere, which is understanding the parts and how they all make up a single unit. That's an ecosystem, that's a biological organism, your body, a star system. Everything is integrally related. Even this is kind of what this means. It's trying to tell you that these organizing forces are forces of nature just like the ones on Earth are. This is how the energies manifest the events on Earth, right? So if this is misaligned, as these events unfold collectively, we'll find ourselves not being able to deal with it well because certain situations get us off the center. And that's where we need to practice more calm. Okay? I don't know how I'm going to get all this on paper. So, and refine it. It's the transfer. When the 8th sphere has its logical root in in the fourth sphere, seeing it all together, meaning essentially, fourth sphere is the bigger picture. Okay, meaning essentially the calmer one is, the easier it is to transfer meditation, intuition, from that calm by seeing your own inner blockages, the blockages we just spoke about. There's never blockages on the outside. What scares you and makes you think, it's all over with for you for some reason or another. You don't see the situation the same. You see the situation as an inability for you to remain calm and so that you can be stable in that situation. And the proof of that is somebody else is going to face that situation, and they're going to get happy and take their shirt off and go run into the fight that you just ran away from. Or maybe your inner peace, the opposite of that would be somebody who's very physical and likes to fight, or is very, very hurt, which is usually intertwined somehow. The person, their lack of peace to curb their aggression causes them, again, to not focus on getting to that perfectly still center up here. It's to run to every fight and try to beat up everything around you until that person will beat up everything around them until everybody just chills out, and then they can have peace. And they need to practice this because obviously that's an illusion. We can't get almost 9 billion people to do what we want as an individual. So that's going to be guaranteed stress. So the person's going to need more peace. The first person in the situation where they got scared into inaction, they're not establishing their peace because they didn't have the courage or the strength or the know-how to fight back, so they ran or cowered. Where the opposite person tries to beat everybody around them into being peaceful, but ends up triggering them more so that they give him the exact opposite and more drama. So that's another insight. These are real-time insights in addition to this. So we also, when we get this intuition, when we're calm, it makes it easier for us to write down the information. And I had to do that this time. And that's another thing I asked for, is to get these thoughts out of me onto paper. So this is actually the first time I sat down and channeled in real time to explain all of this so that I can edit it, okay? Oh man, do I got work to do. I don't know when this is going to be ready, guys. So when you sit and get calm so that, so here it is here. The essence of your intuition sphere and your logical sphere, under it, in the essence of sphere 2 and sphere 8, okay, your logic and your intuition, is that the answers are in the calmness, but the calmness, the person that thinks they don't have that knowledge within them seeks to find it by asking within for whatever reason. Maybe because that person is close to God, maybe because already is closer up the center, or maybe the person give me a second. I had like 3 downloads all at one time. I have to stop because otherwise I was really not going to make any sense. The person asking the question, maybe they couldn't get the answer on the outside of them from the internet, from whatever source they thought they had to get it from. Maybe they don't trust anything anymore, or maybe a person doesn't have access to that information, so they have no choice but to go within. And maybe they've been doing that to a point where they're starting to get the ability to translate it into something that can go on paper or that can be announced in a video. And the reason that I'm saying that is because It's happening right now. This is the first time I ever did this. It actually, this is literally the first time I ever did this. So that the scribe writing down what wisdom is saying, what the source of wisdom is saying, is not a scribe outside of him that's like his service, like write this down, give it to the editors, and then go get me, a latte with whatever. Not that kind of a scribe. The scribe is you, your lower self, realizing that you're not good enough at being peaceful on the inside. You're too distracted on the outside, so you have to put this effort to try to get the answer by praying, by meditating, however it's done, or going to a counselor or getting a reading, anything like that, trying to get something to help them connect to what is going on inside them, but it's too subtle for them to put it into those words. I don't know what this is going to sound like when I play it back, so it's almost a half an hour. So the scribe is you practicing being calm. And the better that skill gets as you reach for your inner peace, the more likely you're able to start putting it into words, because you've spent the time meditating and thinking about them, or trying to apply them to the situations that you go through when you leave your house, or at home in your family, or with your health, or the nature of your job, or issues with somebody or something like that, right? So the calmer we get, the more we're able to write all of those perceptions that we were collecting mentally when we were trying to develop this skill. So when we did that, we we were able to think about those things that, the experiences we had, positive or negative, true or false, it doesn't matter, impressed themselves on us. And then we gradually, over time, we come to we look at the whole thing subconsciously and say, oh, that's what life is, or that's what you are. It compiles this image, it puts them all together like little pieces of paper, and tries to make it look like what it thinks it's supposed to look like. That's kind of what your brain does when it doesn't have that inner guidance. But the calmer you get, the more you're able to see the relationship, that there is a structure behind the things that happen in our personal lives and in the world, and with the people around us, or the times that we're in, or the condition of the environment, whatever it is. So we're able to put that into words. Okay, so going back to the seventh sphere with that, the calmer you are, the more you can pay attention to the subtle ideas and images and sounds and feelings that are coming through you. That's what everybody writes from. Everybody writes their beautiful poetry and their song lyrics, or choreographs a play, or does a orchestra, anything like that, or a painting, or interior decorator, feng shui, trying to find fun ways how to turn unpleasant things into pleasant things, so that we can enjoy doing them instead of feeling weighed down to them. Just adding beauty to a situation. That's why relationships are also connected to this. If I'm not mistaken, Libra is one of the signs for this. You see how Libras, I heard this, I don't know how true this is, but I heard often that Libras were really good at costume design, or starting a line of clothing or something like that, because this part of their spirit, their imagination, and how it connects to feeling, it ends up bringing that forth eventually, so that it can become an actual product, or a project, or a painting, or an outfit that some woman is going to walk down the strip and show an audience. It comes from being able to bring those beautiful things you see and feel into the world. Same thing with Sebek, but our emotions get tied up with all kinds of unconnected ideas. It's the ability, it's to not be able to see, and the intellect can't operate off of this, because there's not enough inner peace and inner reflection to have enough thought, have enough how to translate that into something working that's technical to apply to us, right? So we just have ideas about relationships and ideas about work and ideas about life and ideas about if things are going to get better or worse, or ideas about, who's a good boxer or who's a good dancer or who's whatever, like this, we get lost. And that's why the negative in Egypt, they call that set, because you're trying to use your logic in the dark. You can't see the connections. You only see kind of what's in front of you. But if you bring positive thoughts, you'll get those the more you go inward. You'll bring that beauty in there, the understanding of connections, more intuition to give you more ideas to create, right? And manifest it. So you, and Sebet, or your intellect, it has so many pieces, it's so broken up because its job is to label everything, to audit it, to kind of like put a label on everything that's going on so that it can figure it out and then communicate it to other people. But when it has its relationship to peace is the more peace you get, the more central you get, and the more all your thoughts start to revolve and construct themselves gradually, with the putting it together, realizing, in other words, your intellect, you start to get the insight that your intellect, its nature is to see everything all broken up. But if you can connect it and unify it, your logic will start to make more and more sense in relationship to life and the things that benefit you and other people. And this is why it's called the guide, the guide of the dead, because this is a process of awakening. So the further we are away from this, the more dead we are, because we're just so much here and we think that that's it, or that it has so much more power over our life than this does. Our consciousness is locked down here. But when it has the right information to think about, this can help raise it out of that state and give it more light as it connects with the inner perceptions of the parts that are in the spirit. Oh my God, I hope I'm making any sense. So I just have to keep talking. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. So anyway, inner peace makes the intellect realize that it has a bunch of puzzle pieces that are supposed to go together into a picture. And then you get guided through your experiences in life. And then you start understanding the relationships of the lessons that life teach with how they helped you unlock. And then you can be a better leader because you've established more central inner peace. And your thoughts are unified, not just for you or certain things, but keeping the whole picture in mind, knowing that the more the pieces go together, the bigger and happier the picture is going to be. So your intellect and your verbal thought, your sound thought, plays a similar role with your visual thought, because they both, when they're divinely awakened by being connected to their center, they put the pieces together in an artful way, whether words or images or sounds or music. They work together. They start working together the more you center yourself. Okay? So I wrote some other stuff on here. I'm never going to stop talking. But the reason there's a central connection, maybe I'll close with this. The reason there's a central connection here, you notice that these spheres aren't touching the ground. These outer spheres, they can't come down here unless you're at inner peace and that you're connected enough to realize that Earth is where you practice putting all of this together. Your job is to practice putting yourself together. So this is probably going to sound dumb, but I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to insult. Let me stop insulting my intuition. I'm sorry for that. So I think what I'm going to say is the goal of life is to realize that you're Humpty Dumpty and all the king's horses and men out here can't put you together, because only you can put yourself back together. I think that's how I'm going to close it. If I want to add more, I'll do a separate video. But that's my download, and maybe by next year I'll put all this together. Sorry for the long wait. Hopefully it's a lot sooner than that.